Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to Ramadan Radio 87.7 with your host Zainab Zaeem-Sattar on Breaking Stereotypes. So today's show is about community work. We do have hopefully two guests. Right now we have Sadia Akram in the studio with us and we are waiting for my second guest Hafsa Patel to log in by Zoom. But just a bit of housekeeping, just in case Hafsa doesn't log in, she is currently in the airport to do one of her travels to, I think, Syria or Palestine, so she might be having connection issues. So Sadia, if she doesn't, then it's going to be you. But before I introduce you fully to the show, I do want to just remind our listeners and our viewers that the show is interactive. You can telephone in, which is 0116 4822 You can also text us and WhatsApp us with any questions or any comments that you may have on 077 488 55055. And if you don't want to do that, then you can chat through Facebook on Ramadan Radio FM. Now, this is the last show for Breaking Stereotypes for Ramadan Radio 2022. So I am quite excited to end with a bang, as they say. So, Sadia Akram, welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So Sadia is an event organizer who works within the BAME community, and she can go ahead and explain what the BAME acronym is, to help local businesses reach their goals. So Sadia, if you want to just give me a bit of information as to who you are and what you do, and we can take it from there.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Sadia Akram, I'm a mum of three. And I do local events in and around Leicester, just to help everyone around the community who are trying to start a business.
Okay.
And that's for every business. From home, it could be the local community, it could be the mums that are baking at home, working around their commitments and stuff. So yeah, that's roughly what I do.
So is it fair to say that you are an events organizer? Is that what you say?
Yes, we're an event organizer, and we also help community that's around us as well. So we're working on the youth and the elderly as well. We're trying to put a package together, inshallah, in the coming months.
Okay.
Helping the elderly women, just for instance, do like some play schemes, you know, like we did back in the days when they used to like organize a coach and take aunties to like Birmingham for shopping, etc. And then get the youths off the streets and do something with them, like lads with dads, mums and daughters.
Lads with dads, I'm so sorry, that really did make me laugh, lads with dads. So tell me then, because this show is about Ramadan radio and community work, and what got you into this line? But just bear with me, before you answer that question, I'm actually going to have to do something for one moment. So do bear with me. Sidra, can you take my phone to the producer and tell him that she can't log in? So my guest, Hafsa Patel, has sent me a WhatsApp message to say that she's waiting in the lobby and she can't log in. So my trusted sister-in-law, who's actually in the studio with me today, is just going to sort that out for me. So I do apologize, Sadia, for that minor disruption there. So today's show is about community work. So I'm curious to know, community work, how does that fit in with the event management that you're talking about?
Okay, so it started off with just helping people who suffered from the COVID and the businesses going down. Some people had to close their business. And then there was mums that started things at home as bringing a second source of income to the house. So where I came in was when they were doing it at home, they didn't have no rent, or obviously buying a shop and paying no rent and stuff. So what I was doing was getting their information, making them make posters, and then I was advertising for them. And then I was hiring out venues, taking a minimum payment, and then giving them that recognition, getting the community to see that there's, for instance, sisters that are cooking at home. There could be, mashallah, the Bengali sisters, the Gujarati sisters, the Pakistani sisters. There is so many sisters at home that are cooking such nice meals, and they're in clean environments. Alhamdulillah, some of them have got 5 hygiene rating. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, why are these guys not being recognized? They need to be seen for their work. And I was tasting this food. Some of them, I'd purchase it and not tell them who I am. And then I'd go on to ring them and say, oh, would you be interested to do this? And they're like, yes, of course. The only unique thing that I was doing was I was using my Instagram to promote these businesses up until they had the event. So I felt that I was like contracted to them in a way. I was doing that part of the package.
Okay.
And I have like a group where I support them. So for instance, if they couldn't make their posters, I'd tell them to use the free apps, and I'll say I'll help you design them and stuff. So it was just about connecting, and then we then networked a lot as well. So we'd hold meetings when COVID restrictions calmed down. So we were holding meetings, and we'd go, like the sisters would get together, we'd go for like a coffee or a tea or a meal, and everyone will just talk about, and they'll get to see other businesses, who they're going to be with on that day. So it wasn't like a shock to them that they'd come just straight to the event and they'll be standing next to someone they don't even know. So they'll be familiar with the people when they get there. So that worked because everyone was seeing each other before they even did the event. So they weren't put in a hall with absolute strangers. So that really worked in my favor as well. So alhamdulillah, we've had a huge success with it. We've had lovely feedback, and the community's been very great in Leicester.
Fantastic. So it comes down to whoever had confidence issues or whoever was shy, they'd be able to open up. So I do want to come back and talk a little bit about what you've said, but thank you to my sister-in-law Sidra and my producer Akil, who managed to get my second guest Hafsa Patel on the show by Zoom. So Hafsa, I am looking at you. You might not be able to see me as you're on Zoom, and I've not connected my phone today via Zoom. But Hafsa, if you are available to start your video, that would be quite good. If not, it's completely up to you. But can you say something so I know that you're there and you can hear me, Hafsa?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. There we go. It's good to see you. Apologies about the IT connections. So Hafsa, you are currently sitting in your car in the airport. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm just on my way to Palestine, so literally catching a flight in an hour's time.
Okay, so
but
I'm conscious that we don't have that much time with you, so let me give you a quick breakdown of what we've spoken about. So we have Sadia Akram, who also does community work, but a little different to what you usually do. So Sadia Akram's just given us a brief introduction as to what it is that she does for the BAME community. So can you give me a quick intro as to what it is that you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
yeah, sure. So I have started to work with the community projects, especially around charity, looking at how women can get involved with this kind of work. It was something that I've always wanted to do. So I used to work with the English charities, and then just came by light in regards with SKT charity, doing some date projects. And alhamdulillah, working through them, met some amazing contacts with our Muslim community, the BAME community. It's all about diversity and inclusion, and especially around the females, getting into this kind of field of work. And throughout my journey in this charity work, alhamdulillah, I've met some amazing women from different races, different culture, all united to try and achieve the same goals. So alhamdulillah, from a diversity and BAME perspective, it really has opened up, many doors for myself.
MashaAllah. So when we're talking about the BAME community, we're talking about the Black and minority ethnics. Okay, so that's for our listeners and viewers out there. Now, from what I've taken from the conversation that I'm having with both of my guests is that you've got one who is doing community work within the local community, charity starts from home and all that. And then we've got my second guest who actually goes abroad internationally, and her community work reaches out there. Now, you actually go to Palestine and Syria and so on. Can you please tell me, first of all, how did you get into this line?
So I started off with SKT charity, doing some projects around distributing dates. And these were just date tins, and the fundings that we got from that were going into Palestine, Yemen, Syria. And alhamdulillah, like I said, it was just about networking. My field of work, it is events work. So I did some charity events, such as supporting the Khabib event at Harrogate. And just working through some of the networks, alhamdulillah, I managed to get through one of the sisters who was actually going out to Turkey, Syria border, which was Hatay. And alhamdulillah, I managed to get out there in February time. I was out there for a week or so. It was quite quite an emotional journey for me as my first deployment. Because I'm a mother, I've got two young children, very young children. So when I went out there, it was really difficult to see mothers actually, having to watch their children suffer, going on onto refugee camps where, the children don't have any shoes, any clothes, living in a tent. And I wouldn't even want to call it a tent. It's literally a sheet of paper where, the water just comes through. The first 4 days, I'm not going to lie, was very, very emotional, tearing every single day, but trying to compose yourself and, be that smile for them, giving them that hope. And I stepped away from that deployment, and I did promise myself that, inshallah, I can go and do more. And then within coming back into the UK, barely 2 weeks, there was an opportunity that came up for Lebanon. So alhamdulillah, I signed up for that. And I went out to Lebanon, and I've only just come back a week or so ago. Again, refugee camps, meeting the widows, meeting the orphanage centres, going to meet the wounded as well. And it just really brings the whole charity work and the deployment into perspective, that we can do so much more. But also it's being the advocate and embracing, these kind of opportunities that come by, and how we can all as a community, go out and support our brothers and sisters. And there is all walks of life that come to these deployments. And like you mentioned about the BAME, I have met some amazing, sisters that are within the Black community. So from coming in from the deployment sector, alhamdulillah, I think personally, it's a really good journey to kind of start. And like they say, charity comes, from home, but until you do not go out there, you don't actually see it firsthand. And these are the experiences that can bring out to everybody that I know. And inshallah, I want more people to go.
I agree, and what you are both doing, mashallah, it's kudos to you, because first of all, it can't be easy. You're dealing with lots of different types of people, and like you said, Hafsa, all walks of life as well, and it's team members, but it's also people that you meet. There might be some people who are shy, some people who have confidence issues, or if someone's like me, who's quite bolshy and thinks she knows everything, you might get somebody like that as well. So it's having to manage, and it's expectations. So certainly what you do is commendable. Now, I do have a question for Hafsa before I move on to Sadia. But Hafsa, you're a Muslim female, and you're traveling to Palestine, you're traveling to Lebanon. And how have you found that? Have you had any challenges with you wanting to do this community work, but it clashing with maybe your beliefs or your religion or just community in general? How have you found that?
Apologies, sorry, I think the connection just went. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I believe Hafsa cannot hear us. Hafsa, if you can't hear me, then hopefully we'll get you back in a couple of moments. If not, then I'm going to take this over to Sadia. Sadia, are you able to advise us of any challenges that you face? Because from what you were saying to me, the conversation you and I just had, you don't just deal with females, do you? You deal with men as well, and you wear a niqab. So do you come across any challenges or face any challenges?
Alhamdulillah, I don't think I directly deal with the brothers because my husband's with me as well. But there has been some opportunities where I've had to deal with the brothers, but they're very, the brothers are very good. They don't give me any hassle. Maybe because I think the win of niqab, they probably don't say anything to me. But then you do get there was, I think initially when I started, there's some quite strong brothers that think that they can just do whatever they want, even regardless of them being told that you can't do certain things. That will obviously, towards the event and stuff. But no, alhamdulillah, I haven't faced any such, any problem with my faith even. A bit of lack of education with they can't see your face. That does become an issue. And that's not only for the non-Muslims, that's for Muslims as well. The aunties want to see your face, but there's a man standing behind you. So we'll have those type of questions. But no, alhamdulillah, I've not had no problems like that. You will get the normal, I want this specific table or I want this corner. You'll have that, but then you'll have that comes with the job.
Yeah.
That you can't change.
Out of curiosity, you said that an auntie wants to see your face. purely out of curiosity here, is that a non-Muslim auntie or a Muslim auntie?
No,
who
it's a
demands?
Muslim auntie. It's for me, it's not about not showing my face. It's if it was a female event, I wouldn't need to wear the hijab, the niqab.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
But I do say to the aunties that, oh, auntie, come, I'll show you. You know, come to my house, have a cup of tea. You know, it's not as though I'm being very like thingy about it, but some people do their hijab in different ways. So that's the way I choose to do it. You know, I choose to not reveal my face intentionally. One thing is if it's windy and then it flies away. But one thing is intentionally. But alhamdulillah, like I said, I've never had any issues. But the thing is that I want to change is I want to integrate now. I want to go to the non-Muslims as well. I want to break that barrier because there are majority of the non-Muslims that do think otherwise of the sisters in niqab because of what social media or what the news or media have in generally painted this picture about a niqab sister, you know. They think that we are some sort of oppressed sisters and we sit at home and, you know, we're just about looking after the thing. That is also, inshallah, a rewarding job, you know.
Yeah, if only they knew.
Only if they knew that we have got a business mind, or should I say we've got the power to do
so much more. Well, I was actually going to say if only they knew what our power is in Islam and how females are elevated. In fact, females are more elevated than a man. They've got more rights. Connection lost. more rights than a man, and something my children remind me of. My eldest son is a Hafiz. He's been a Hifz since he was 13 and he's now 20, he's soon to be 21. And he always reminds me that Jannat lies beneath the feet of a mother. And when he's constantly picking on me and my sister-in-law is sitting here, she's witness to this, my own mother-in-law will tell him off and say, hey, you know, do you want Jannat or not? You know, Jannat's beneath the mother's feet, it's not beneath the father's feet. And that's how superior as women are in Islam. We are elevated to certain heights. And if only people knew, if France's Prime Minister only knew, you know, there'd be so much more that we could accomplish and so much more that we can do. So I do want to stay on this topic in terms of the niqab that you do wear. And this is not a show on, you know, niqab this or niqab that. Last year I had a niqabi motorbiker on my show. And she's based in America, absolutely awesome lady. And she you know, rides a motorbike with her jabba and her niqab and everything on. You know, it's fantastic. But I've come across a few ladies in and around Leicester who used to wear niqab and have had prejudices. They found it very difficult to be able to go into business or able to achieve anything because they found that their niqab is a block. How have you found it? I mean, because at the end of the day, you are running a business. Regardless of who you're helping, your community work that you do is fantastic. But on the second side of it, you are yourself running a business. What about any challenges you faced there? Has that niqab been a block? And if so, what have you done? Because I can see, and the reason why I ask this question, I can see you've not compromised your religion, right? Hats off to you on that. And nobody should have to compromise it, but it certainly is a challenge for many. So there might be someone listening who might be going through something similar, who might be feeling that lack of confidence, who might not even know how to overcome it. So you've been there. What can you say about the challenges that you faced and what did you do to overcome that?
Alhamdulillah, first of all, Zainab, I've never gone into a field that is not comfortable for me, right? And so I know that where I'm not going to be accepted, so for instance, I cannot go to a company or an establishment that's not going to value me for the way I am, right? So I wouldn't even bother going there because I'm firstly not comfortable. So there's a barrier there. With the events that I do, I've happily fortunately I've attracted the Muslim community. That's it's good in a way, but my challenge is to attract the non-Muslim community as well because it's a form of dawah.
Yeah.
When you do that, it's not about us. We're going to start giving out Qurans and we're going to start giving out hadith. It starts with your character. So if your character is good, they'll see beyond the way you dress and the way you are. If you come onto their level, alhamdulillah, I have met non-Muslims in Leicester, and in fact I've had such a good conversation with them, and later on they've gone to say to me, why do you cover your face? They've actually been able to ask me the questions, which I found like, yeah, you know what? Come and ask me. You know, we don't have that. I don't know whether it was the same with you guys, but back in the days, we were never even allowed to ask our Mulana or something. In just, for instance, in general, that why is that guna, or why this sin, we weren't allowed to ask those questions. It was like as though it was a guna to even ask. Now, being in this society now, we're in 2020, our kids do ask us and we happily answer them that why do we wear the hijab? Why do we? Because we want to create the love. It's not, we don't want to force the kids. Alhamdulillah, me, myself, I wasn't forced to do it. I was supported. And for me, it feels so nice. I can go bungee jumping in this. I can go on a motorbike. I'll have to find a lady to stitch the middle bit, but I'll get there. I'll do it because
I like that.
We'll work around it. But with this, anybody out there that's struggling with it and feels that they don't want to compromise it, for me, I just think when one door closes, another one opens. And if they're not accepting you, then why are you going into a firm? We have to accept a load of communities now, right? Name the none. We have to tolerate them because, yes, we're in the Western society. But why are we not getting accepted?
Yeah, well, that's a conversation that will probably open a whole load of perceptions, probably something that we don't really want to get into. So I'm just going to remind the listeners and the viewers that this is Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM, Breaking Stereotypes, with your host, Zainab Zaeem-Sattar. Today's show, which is the last show for Ramadan 2022, is community work, so into the world of community work. And I was meant to have two guests, Sadia, Akram, who is in the studio with me, and I was meant to also have Hafsa, Patel, who we seem to have lost internet connection with, because I have been trying to look at my WhatsApp and I can't seem to get through to her, and she can't now get back in. So Sidra, are you able to go back to my producer and tell him she can't get back in? So I do apologize to all my listeners. My sister-in-law is luckily, thankfully, here with me and able to assist me. But before I move on to Sadia and the next questions, what I do want to just remind my listeners is that if you don't already know, I am one of the presenters on Ramadan Radio who has a show continuously throughout the year. So I do once a month. I did have two shows, Breaking Stereotypes and Law in Action. And we are restructuring, so I don't know if I'm coming back with Law in Action or whether I'm sticking to Breaking Stereotypes. So what I will say is watch this space. So my phone has now gone with my sister-in-law with all my notes. I'm going to try and see if my memory serves me correct here. So Sadia, we were talking earlier before Hafsa did join us about the work that you were doing with the community and how you bring, you talked about recognizing that these people are not recognized. And I had that question in my mind. What do you mean when you say these people are not recognized?
Their businesses mainly are not recognized. They got good businesses. They're not they've got good food. They've got good taste. They've got good, for instance, one order from Pakistan, you know, and there's brothers and there's sisters that will get it direct from Pakistan. And we don't need to go to, just say Bradford, typically we do, or we go Birmingham. So, you know, these brothers and sisters, they're doing it at home. So I myself didn't know that Leicester had Pakistani kapre. And when I mean Pakistani kapre, I mean like not like Cardi, you know, the branded stuff. There are people doing them. And so it's like the food, everyone's culture is different. So I couldn't find a Pakistani cook, like someone that makes authentic Pakistani cuisine, because you don't get a lot of that in Leicester. Whereas in Bradford, you can walk out and the front door, you can see like, a chippy that's run by Pakistanis with seekh kebabs and stuff. So it's about that type of thing. And I felt that was missing from me. That's the reason why when I reached out and I started to network and I started to connect people, I realized that was more out there. There was more different businesses and stuff. So I'd say they wasn't recognized for that reason. But alhamdulillah, they are now. They're doing loads of events, inshallah. They're going to be doing the future projects as well, inshallah, this year. So they've come out quite good.
I like how you mentioned Pakistani food, because actually you're right when you say that when it comes to Leicester is quite diversified. We are very much
but
diversified.
You ain't got good Pakistani food.
Well, I'm Gujarati and we are, I have to admit, I am lucky. We do have some good Gujarati food.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that my ex-husband is an awesome cook as well. So there are occasions where he'll send food, and that is authentic Gujarati food.
Sorry, it's no plug-in for businesses.
No, we're not doing any plugins.
I'm sure you are doing plug-in for your ex-husband's business.
He does not have a business, Akil. So my producer reckons I'm doing a plug for my ex-husband. My ex-husband does not have a business for food. He makes, he cooks food, the daig food, as we say, for mosques out of the goodness of his heart.
Mashallah.
Now, whatever goes on between me and the ex, and whatever was the reason for our split up, he is an amazing cook. And I can't go away from that.
Yeah.
But that's authentic food. But there's no food like mum's food.
That's what I mean. These people, Zainab,
food
these
like
people that have come on board doing these events, there's some of them, they're not all Pakistani. There's Bengali sisters, there's Gujaratis, there's an Algerian sister. Who's ever had Algerian food? I've never had Algerian food.
No, I've never.
Okay.
But let's pause on this one because we managed to get Hafsa back on, and I'm conscious that we might lose her again. So, Hafsa, can you hear me?
Alaikum. Yes, I can. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I think it must be the aircrafts flying above my car, but I'm back.
It's okay. Well, we're glad to have you back. Can you quickly indicate to me how long we have you before you have to go? Because I know that you needed to go at 6:30.
Yeah, I can do another 10 minutes. It's fine.
Brilliant. So if you don't mind, Sadia, I'm going to focus on Hafsa for a while. So Hafsa, the question that I asked you before you unfortunately disappeared on us was that as a female Muslim, you traveled to Lebanon, to Palestine, to Syria. What challenges have you faced when it comes to you traveling as a female and doing this work? Have you come across any challenges? Has society said anything? Has it clashed with anything that you believe in? And can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Sure. So initially, the Turkey trip, I wasn't quite sure what to expect in regards to a Muslim girl traveling in a group of charity, volunteers. But alhamdulillah, for my first trip, it was okay. However, to my surprise, it was quite daunting at the airport. So one of the girls who was in my group, she had traveled to Palestine before, and she actually got stopped at the airport. So they kind of took her away, questioned her, and it can be quite daunting, as a female. However, they let her through after several questions, the purpose around the charity work that we do. And I thought that was just like a spot check. However, when we went to Lebanon only a couple of weeks ago, another female sister also got kind of stopped at Lebanon. There was no reason behind, why the search was done. They couldn't tell us why, but all they knew was that we were going out for charity deployment. And again, it kind of, it's hard. It's a challenging period because I don't know what the immigrations are currently doing, but I think as much as like we go and support these Muslim countries within the immigration sector, there is still that myth of, they still find it a bit more of a threat coming in from charity groups. But again, it was another sister who had been to Palestine. But what I can say from that is it's not stopped me. I've traveled to Turkey, I've been to Lebanon, and inshallah, like with everybody's du'as, I am going to Palestine. So people are saying, it's going to be difficult, and with everything that's going out in the media, even my own family, there's people that have actually said to me that we can't believe that you're actually going to go to Palestine. But for me, coming away from my deployments, my faith has been a lot more stronger. I mean, I've seen, children out there with no families. I've seen refugees that really need our support. And the one thing that's really stuck to me, and, I will happily share that, is when I've asked a widow, sister, what would you like me to take away from the key message from here? And, what can we do to help you? The only thing that she said to me was just, please, we don't want anything, but just remind the ummah not to forget us. And I think that's really stuck to me. So despite the challenges and, everything else that, the hardship that comes along the journey, we are a strong, community. We do want to help our brothers and sisters. And, people like us that go out there and bring back these amazing stories and experiences. I would only want more, more sisters and everybody else to actually go out there and support, because without us, there is no support. And with Palestine, it's a really good example. that people are looking at the media and, you know, they're scared to go. But there's so many more people that I know that has gone out on charity and that are out there can tell you that it's not as bad as what, you know, it seems. But you've just got to kind of put a strong heart on and, you know, be out there for our brothers and sisters. So alhamdulillah, you know, I'm looking forward to it. And I have heard some horror stories around the airports and things, but it's all about the, you know, the end goal that you're trying to achieve. And, you know, there's nothing that we're hiding or anything. So just go with the truth and honesty, and inshallah the journey becomes successful.
I mean, well, Allah Ta'ala make your trip asan and easy, and you know, may you get everything that you want from it. And you know, I can't reiterate this enough. You know, kudos to everyone who does all the charity work that they do. And I know my sister-in-law, Sidra, who's currently in the studio, she was actually saying to me about a week or 2 weeks ago that she wants to be able to do things like this. She wants to be able to go abroad and help. Yeah. And I know it's in her heart and she desperately wants to do it. But it comes down to having a support system as well, doesn't it? Now, you've got family and friends who have probably, you know, made their comments, made their observations, but still supported you when you go. I mean,
definitely.
I come from a very conservative, and I want to say strict, but they're not that strict anymore because they really can't tell me what to do anymore. But I know for a fact that it took them years to get over the fact that I ride a motorbike. And, you know, that I go out on my motorbike with my husband. I mean, God forbid if I was to start getting on planes and going to Palestine and Syria, I have no idea what they were saying. I mean, it's a good thing that we're doing. You know, it's a good thing going to Syria, going to Lebanon, but the support system is crucial. And that was my next question to you. So Hafsa, you've kind of mentioned it already, but you also mentioned that you've got children. Now, I want to touch on that support system because there might be a listener out there. There might be one of my viewers out there who is married or is a single mom or even a father who wants to go abroad and do this but doesn't know. But you don't just do charity work. You actually work as well. You've got a day job is what I mean. So are you able to just give a little bit around, because you mentioned the word deployment. Now, when I hear the word deployment, to me, that's an army personnel going to Afghanistan, doing their tours and so on and so forth. So you're calling these deployments. I take it you go for a week, you go for 2 weeks. How does that work when it comes to your day job and your family? What's the support system like?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, the way it worked out for me, you know, I couldn't be much more thankful to Allah. But I started a new job, literally got headhunted into a role. So I work as an early careers recruitment manager, so recruiting graduates into the business. And when I started my new job, the Turkey opportunity came by, and I hadn't even started my job. So it was something that I always wanted to do as part of my bucket list, but more of a lifetime experience that I really wanted to kind of achieve. And it was daunting initially to ask my new manager whether I can have time off before I hadn't even started my job. So the first week of induction when I started, I literally, it was nerve-wracking, but I kind of just went into a conversation and asked my manager straight up to say, would it be possible? I know I've only just started, but to have leave in 2 weeks' time because I want to do some charity work. And you're not going to believe it, but Allah works in mysterious ways. So I was actually asking for time off, paid time off from using my annual leave. And my manager actually said to me that, you know, they are really keen to support charity work. And alhamdulillah, he actually gave me the week off from the company without using my annual leave. So that was my first deployment, alhamdulillah. So when you make these little steps to kind of do work in the, you know, the right path and the right way to help others, Allah always helps you make that pathway. And I can't stress enough on that. Again, touching up on my children, I've got a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old boy. And without my husband's support and my family support, I would never be able to do what I do. But alhamdulillah, you know, the moment I mentioned I wanted to go out on deployment, my husband was really supportive. But with the work I do with the graduate recruitment, I used to travel up and down the country anyway. So my children are used to me being away from home, but obviously this was international travel. But alhamdulillah, like my family's been really supportive. Obviously at the first deployment, they were a bit nervous because of the place that I was going. But, you know, once I've made that one journey, the second journey literally kind of just came by. And honestly speaking, if you was to ask me, even through my Lebanon and the Palestine trip right now, I actually only made dua in Turkey on the border of Syria to one of the orphans, and I actually said to them, just make dua that inshallah I can come and do more of this work. I hit into the UK 2 weeks on, and Lebanon was up, and I put my name down, and I was there in Lebanon. And alhamdulillah, Palestine was something that just came by. So I've done my first Ramadan in Lebanon, in a refugee camp with the orphans, the widows, and I did my iftar with them. And that is like something that I will always hold really close to my heart. Little children that don't have anything to eat yet, they want to welcome me into their homes and feed me iftar. These kind of things is what really touches you around charity work, and you can never, get that satisfaction or the rewards that you actually get from this. I just can't explain to you. I've got a high flying job. I got everything that I can accomplish in life goals, but what you get out of this charity work is undescribable. The love that you get from these orphans and the widows and people, where you go out and support them is unconditional. Like, alhamdulillah.
You can have all the money in the world, as they say, but the happiness comes from other places, doesn't it? And whilst a lot of people do say that money can buy happiness, but time and time again we prove that actually it can't, and it is from stuff like this. Now I'm conscious of the time. We have 8 minutes on the clock, and I'm conscious that you need to leave. So what I am going to do is I'm going to ask you one nugget that you want to give, a piece of advice, and then I will let you go. Hafsa, are you still there? Because we seem to have lost. Oh, there we go. We got you back.
Sorry, network.
I'm going to ask you this last question, and then we'll say Assalamu alaikum to you, so you can get into the airport and check in and do what you need to do. So, do you have any tips for our listeners and viewers that can support them if they are thinking of doing, whether it's charity work abroad, whether it's charity work here, but where they're thinking of doing something and they're a bit too not confident enough? Do you have any tips?
Of course, yeah. So firstly, once you've made that intention to want to be able to kind of go out and do this kind of work, there's so many opportunities on different websites and different charity organizations. The way the deployments work as well, you'll have, the team there, the volunteers that have already been out there, people like myself as well, that can help you throughout the journey. It's not as daunting as it seems. Once you agree that you want to go out on this deployment, you kind of being supported by the charity organizations from start to finish. And even when you go out there, you're going to go with a group of, team leads that have been doing this kind of work and field of work for a very long time. And honestly speaking, once you're out there, I initially thought I'm really going to miss my children. And, I had a structure in life. But once you're out there and your eyes are open up to a completely different world, it's absolutely different. Like, I was FaceTiming my boys, but I felt like my goal was to go and help these people. But honestly, take that step. There's so many more organizations out there. Do some research and just pick up that phone. There's always these deployments happening every month. And what I can say to you is, regardless to like myself and other people going out, the need for these volunteers is immense. Like, there's so much more work that we need to do out there for our brothers and sisters. And like I said, they have said the message I always get, even from Turkey to Lebanon, is please let our ummah know not to forget us. And that's the hope that they always have. And regardless to what they have, when I ask them, how are you, sister, or how are you, brother, or anybody, the faith that they have is always alhamdulillah to Allah. So how can we not go out there to help our brothers and sisters?
I mean, it's so true. We are very, very privileged, and something I always tell my children, that we are born in a country where we are privileged, whether we like the weather or not. And I'm the first to say I hate the British weather because I don't get to ride my motorbike that much. But at the end of the day, alhamdulillah, we are privileged. We've got rights that lots of people don't have. We've got a roof over our heads. And those people who don't even have a roof over their heads, there's so many food banks and charities that, in UK, not just Leicester, but in UK, that are willing to help. So, Hafsa, I am going to let you go now. Jazakallah so much on behalf of all my listeners and myself. We truly appreciate you dedicating the time. You're at the airport, you're about to check in, and you're in the car talking with us on the radio. So, Jazakallah so much. we all wish you a safe journey. And actually, I'm going to be in touch with you because me and my sister-in-law have just given eyes to each other, and we've said we want to, volunteer.
Inshallah, definitely.
So inshallah,
definitely.
watch this space. But you take care of yourself, Hafsa, and I wish you a safe journey, inshallah. And dua
Jazakallah.
when you're in that airplane, make dua for all of us. Don't forget us.
Of course.
They're saying to you, don't forget you, but don't forget us as well, inshallah.
Yeah, no. And I'll definitely see you guys on the next deployment, inshallah.
Inshallah. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum back to my viewers and my listeners. So that was Hafsa Patel on Breaking Stereotypes on Ramadan Radio 87.7. We're talking about community work. So into the world of community work. So that was Hafsa Patel, who does a lot of charity work in Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey. And as a Muslim female, you heard it from her. Support system is crucial. And if that is something that you really want to do, then do look into it. So we still have Sadia in the studio. So Sadia, thank you so much for your patience while I finished off with Hafsa there. So we have a few more questions that I wanted to cover. But before I ask the question, I'm going to do something a little bit different and flip it back to you. Is there any comments or observations that you want to make about the community that you work with or the work that you do? Is there anything that you feel that, if existed, could make things a little bit easier, not just for you, but for the people that you help?
Based on feedback, I think there's less stuff for kids. That's based on the mums, obviously, because I'm a mum myself. So, and mainly boys, to get them off roads of knife crime, of going into gangs. That has come as a huge, people have come back and reported, is there anything that you could do for the kids? So we are looking into doing something for the kids.
Okay. That actually, you touch upon a really good topic there, because this is something that I know I've touched upon in my previous shows. Where I grew up in Bolton, we actually had what's known as youth clubs. And youth clubs were predominantly visited by the boys. So my brothers all used to go to these youth clubs, and they'd all come home making all these things, and I'd be at home because obviously I was a girl and I wasn't allowed to go. And they'd come home making all these things, and I'm just sitting there jealous to a fault, thinking, wow, that's so unfair. But there was something for them to do. There was something for them to do, whether it was football, whether they were just chilling with the boys playing
But
snooker.
it's changed now.
There's nothing. As far as I know, I mean, we say that.
There's one brother.
I was going to say that we do have a football club in Leicester.
Yeah.
And then we've got some martial arts. We've got CKI martial arts. We've got the football club. So we do have a few things. But when it comes to like a youth club where they can wake up in the morning and they can go and then they come back in the evening, there is no such thing like that. And that can be a detriment, especially to mums or even single dads here. So you said that you're working on that. So do let us know, and then, I can post that out to my listeners.
The question you asked me about if there's anything else.
Yeah.
I think, respectfully, if the masjids got involved. Okay? And when I mean, for instance, I've inshallah going to be starting boxing. So when I go in there, they think, okay, they do look at me like, oh, it's a niqabi. And obviously it is where there's no security of any of the men walking in. So I will just box comfortably with my niqab on. So I think when you have someone, for the Muslim community in general, coming out, especially the brothers and the sisters, mainly for the brothers, they got a beard, they come across like, the Molana type. If someone like that could come a bit down to the kids, like the lads, they can, communicate with them on a different level. It's not all about being sitting in a masjid. Sometimes it's like and I know this happens up north a lot, where the brothers are getting with the teenagers and saying, oh, let's go, footy. They don't join anywhere. They just go.
We say that, but there is the Peace Centre, and I know I'm not allowed to do a plug, so we're not doing plugs
I already
here.
know of that, brother.
But Peace Centre, Maulana Lockhart, he actually does run youth clubs. Now, I'm conscious of the time. I actually thought we had a lot of time to discuss the next couple of questions, but actually we've got 39 seconds on the clock. So can you give me, so this is the last question to you, Sadia, do you have any tips for listeners or viewers that can help them in coming out, getting their confidence out of the way, or anything that they want to do that they might be not too confident on?
Just be yourself. and don't compromise your deen on anything. And whatever makes you compromise, don't do it.
Brilliant. Jazakallah so much for that. So you heard it here from both my guests to say that where there's a will, there's a way, and doors will open for you. So this was Breaking Stereotypes on Ramadan Radio.